Dear students, welcome to MOOC on Human Rights in India. Over the course of this module and the coming module, we will look at the National Commission for Minorities. In particular, in this module, we will look at the historical context in which the National Commission for Minorities was established. We will also look at the structure, composition, mandate and powers of the National Commission for Minorities. In India, Hindus constitute majority of the population, roughly about 80%. The remaining 20% of Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains and Parsis constitute minorities. We look at the human rights of these persons belonging to religious, linguistic and other ethnic minorities. What is the legal context? India is a party to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, which proclaimed non-discrimination as a cornerstone. India is also a party to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which again echoed non-discrimination as an important cardinal principle. And in fact, ICCPR has a specific right relating to the rights of minorities to profess, practice their religion, culture and language. In addition to these, UDHR and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, there exists many non-binding declarations and standards which were evolved under the United Nations General Assembly. If we look at our own constitution, the preamble asserts that India shall be a secular country. In other words, the state has no religion and there is equal respect to members belonging to all religious communities. Part 3 of the Constitution, which deals with fundamental rights, also has detailed provisions for protecting the educational, cultural rights of persons belonging to minorities. This is a comprehensive framework for protecting the rights of persons belonging to minorities. In fact, the need to establish an institutional framework for protecting the rights of minorities started before the independence. In 1945, there was a Tej Bahadur Sapru Committee was established, which recommended a central missionary at the Union and also in the provinces to monitor the working of the safeguards provided to various minorities. In fact, the creation of a minority commission was also discussed in the Constituent Assembly debates. There were several proposals that were put forth. There was one member of the Constituent Assembly suggested that the proposed minority commission should have powers to issue binding recommendation. There was another proposal which suggested that such a commission should only submit reports to the union government or the state governments with its recommendations. Ambedkar, architect of the Indian Constitution, suggested that an officer should be established at the center and in provinces to monitor the working of the constitutional safeguards and other legislative safeguards. This in short was the efforts to create a minorities commission before the country became independent or immediately soon thereafter. If you look at the state government's attempts, in 1960, Uttar Pradesh became the first state in the country to establish one-man minority commission to look at the issues related to minorities in that state. In 1971, Bihar followed suit with the establishment of a multi-member minority commission. In 1978, Gujarat established a minorities high-powered committee to review the working of the various safeguards. At the union level, in fact, in 1978, a Central Minorities Commission was established and it was placed under Ministry of Home Affairs. At the end of its first tenure, the Central Minorities Commission was shifted from Ministry of Home Affairs to the Ministry of Welfare, which is now known as Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. In fact, under the Ministry of Welfare, this commission underwent further changes. In fact, in 1988, the Ministry of Welfare amended the mandate of the Central Minorities Commission to confine itself to the issues of religious minorities. In other words, the issues relating to linguistic minorities were separated and there was a separate commissioner, and it was removed from the ambit of the then Central Minorities Commission. In 1992, the government came out with an act. Before that, there were several attempts made to confer a constitutional status to the Minorities Commission. In fact, that's how 46th and 51st constitutional amendments were drafted, were discussed, debated, but it did not succeed in giving a constitutional status to the Central Minorities Commission. But eventually, in 1992, the government came out with a bill and which was eventually passed by the Parliament, and that's how the National Minorities Commission Act was established. So the first time the nomenclature of a National Minorities Commission was adopted, and that was in the year 1992. And if you look at the historical context of the evolution, right from Ministry of Home Affairs in 1978 to the 1984 to the Ministry of Welfare, and eventually when the government created a Ministry of Minority Affairs in 2006, the National Commission for Minorities was attached to or placed under the Ministry of Minority Affairs. As we have seen, the National Commission for Minorities got a statutory status in the year 1992. Who is a minority is defined in the statute. Any community notified by the central government becomes a minority community, and in pursuance of this power, the government notified so far 6 communities. These are Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, Parsis, and in the year 2014, Jains have been included under the ambit of the minority community. So in effect, the National Commissions for Minorities purview extends to these 6 communities and persons belonging to these communities. Now, the Commission for Minorities also made a recommendation that though Hindus constitute a majority when you take the country as a whole, by virtue of being about nearly 80% of the population, yet in 5 states and 1 union territory, the National Commission for Minorities recommended that they be regarded as minorities in those states and UT, and these are Jammu and Kashmir, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland and Punjab and the Union Territory of Lakshadweep. Now, what is the composition of the National Commission for Minorities? The Act 1992 NCM Act specifies that it shall comprise of 1 chairperson, 1 vice chairperson and 5 members, and these persons are supposed to be persons of eminence with proven integrity and ability, and they all should be members belonging to minority communities themselves. As regards the functions of the National Commission for Minorities, these have been specified in Chapter 2 of the National Commission for Minority Act of 1992. I request you to pay your attention to the following graphic. The National Commission for Minority is expected to evaluate the progress of the development of minorities under the Union and the states. B. Monitor the working of the safeguards provided in the Constitution and in laws enacted by the Parliament and the state legislatures. C. Make recommendations for the effective implementation of safeguards for the protection of the interests of minorities by the central government or the state governments. D. Look into specific complaints regarding deprivation of rights and safeguards of the minorities and take up such matters with the appropriate authorities. Now, if you look at these functions from A to D, the National Commission for Minorities was also given the powers of a civil court with regard to functions mentioned under A, B and D. This power of a civil court extends to summoning, production of documents, recording evidence, etc. As regards other powers, if you see, the Commission can conduct studies into problems arising out of any discrimination against minorities and recommend measures for their removal, conduct research and analysis on the issues relating to socio-economic and educational development of minorities, suggest appropriate measures in respect of any minority to be undertaken by the central government or the state governments, make periodical or special reports to the central government on any matter pertaining to the minorities and in particular difficulties confronted by them and any other matter which may be referred to it by the central government. If you look at the National Commission for Minority Act 1992, an accountability mechanism has been provided in the sense that the Commission is expected to make recommendations through its reports to the Union government, state governments from time to time, and the central government in turn is expected to lay on the table of the Parliament these recommendations along with a note on the action taken, action proposed to be taken, and in case it does not wish to accept any particular recommendation, it needs to give reasons for action not taken. Insofar as a recommendation relates to a state government, the central government is expected to pass on that recommendations to the concerned state for implementation, and in turn it is expected to get an action taken from the state government and again place it before the parliament. This in a way is a very powerful mechanism put in place by the lawmakers in order to ensure that the rights provided in the constitution, various statutes, various policies, schemes of the government of India and state governments become a reality for persons belonging to minority communities as defined in the National Commission for Minority Act. In the coming module, we will see the work of the National Commission for Minorities in greater detail and also engage in a critical appraisal of the National Commission for Minorities Act. See you in the next module.